Discussion on X-ray chest, ECG, echo and device closure in atrial septal defect. This ECG shows RS R''S' pattern in V1 marked by blue arrow suggestive of incomplete right bundle branch block pattern. The pattern indicates right ventricular volume overload. In addition, cross-attached sign is seen in inferior leads marked by black arrows. Please subscribe to this channel for future updates. Click on the subscribe button. Press the bell icon after that for all updates. Cross-attached sign in AST was described by Heller and colleagues in 1996. It is a notch near the apex of the R wave in inferior leads. They noted a sensitivity of about 73% and specificity of 92% if the sign was present in all the three inferior leads. Early disappearance of the cross-attached sign after surgical correction of AST was found in 35% of cases even when the incomplete RBBB pattern was persisting. The ECG illustrated shows the notch at the apex of the R wave in leads 2 and AVF and a notch in the ascending limb of lead 3. This ECG also shows right atrial overload as evidenced by P-wave amplitude of 0.3 mV in lead 2. Slurred S waves in lead 1 and AVL also indicate incomplete RBBB pattern. Here, PR interval is at the upper limit of normal, 200 milliseconds. There is a higher incidence of sudden cardiac death in familial AST with prolongation of PR interval. Familial AST with first degree AV block is transmitted in an autosomal dominant trait. Mutations in NKX2-5 gene located on chromosome 5 are associated with AST, conduction disturbances and sudden cardiac death. This ECG shows inverted P waves in inferior leads 2, 3 and AVF. This indicates that the atrial activation is spreading from below upwards. It is suggestive of a focus either in the low atrium or high junction. A mid-junction rhythm will have no visible P waves as the P wave will be within the QRS due to simultaneous activation of the atria and the ventricle. In low junctional rhythm, the P wave occurs after the QRS in the ST segment and is inverted in inferior leads. In left atrial rhythm originating from the lower part, the P waves are inverted in inferior leads as well as lateral leads. There is notching of the QRS complex in the inferior leads which suggests the cross-attached sign in AST. Low atrial rhythm can occur with sinus venosus AST as the sinus node may be defective so that alternate focus arising in the low atrium gives the dominant rhythm. The PR interval is also shorter in low atrial rhythm. ECG in AST with severe pulmonary hypertension. RS'' pattern is seen in V1 with tall R' possibly reflecting right ventricular hypertrophy. The strain pattern is extensive from V1 to V6. RSR pattern is seen in lead 3 and AVF as well. The QRS duration is also increased. Echocardiogram in this case confirmed a large secondum AST with severe pulmonary hypertension and bidirectional shunt. ECG after surgical closure of AST. PR interval is prolonged and measures 280 milliseconds. There is additional incomplete right bundle branch block pattern with RSR' in V1 with a QRS width of 110 milliseconds. This combination of first degree AV block with incomplete RBBB is seen in familial AST which is transmitted in an autosomal dominant pattern. This means that 50% of first degree relatives have a chance to have AST. In this individual, there is no family history of AST, though a formal family study has not been done. Though this person had undergone surgical closure of AST 3 decades back, the abnormal ECG pattern is persisting. X-ray chest PA view in AST with pulmonary hypertension. Main pulmonary artery and right pulmonary artery are enlarged. Right atrial enlargement is seen as a shift of the right border to the right of the spine. Pulmonary vascularity is increased and prominent end-on vessels are also seen. Apex is upwards, suggesting a right ventricular configuration. All features suggest a large AST with a large left-to-right shunt producing severe pulmonary hypertension. X-ray chest PA view in another person with AST and pulmonary hypertension. Prominent main pulmonary artery, right pulmonary artery, and left pulmonary artery behind the main pulmonary artery, and end-on views of dilated branch pulmonary arteries are seen. Echocardiographic image from subcostal 4-chamber view showing secondum AST. Subcostal view is the ideal view for imaging AST to avoid false echo dropouts which may be seen in apical 4-chamber view. This is because the imaging ultrasound beam is perpendicular to the septum in subcostal view while it is parallel to the atrial septum in apical 4-chamber view. This AST has good rims above and below and could be suitable for device closure. That has to be decided after transesophageal echocardiogram to assess all the rims. Color Doppler flow mapping showing the red colored flow across the atrial septum from left atrium to the right atrium. The flow is red colored because it is towards the echo transducer in this view. Flow reversal, that is blue color jet and jet moving from RA to LA, can occur when there is severe pulmonary hypertension. Reverse flow across the atrial septal defect can also be seen in total anomalous pulmonary venous connection. Echocardiogram in apical 4-chamber view demonstrating a primum AST. Primum AST is part of the AV canal defect and is sometimes called a partial AV canal defect. In AV canal defects, the atrioventricular septum is absent and both AV valves are at the same level. Primum AST is usually associated with the cleft of the anterior mitral leaflet, which appears like an additional commissure in the parasternal short axis view. Cleft AML produces significant mitral regurgitation, which is an association of ostium primum AST. A similar defect in the tricuspid valve can cause tricuspid regurgitation. Another association of an ostium primum AST is the inlet or canal VSD. Color Doppler echocardiogram showing left to right shunt in ostium primum AST. This frame with color flow mapping demonstrates the left to right shunt across the primum AST. Though the actual direction of the shunt is perpendicular to the direction of the beam, most of the blood moves from the left atrium across the AST towards the tricuspid valve in a direction which is parallel to the beam and towards the transducer. That is why this flow is encoded red. Apical 4-chamber view showing tricuspid regurgitation in primum AST. The bluish mosaic colored jet is due to the blood flowing away from the transducer in systole. The mosaic indicates turbulent flow with aliasing since the velocity is above the Nyquist limit of the color Doppler system. Nyquist limit is the maximum velocity which can be imaged by a particular system and is half of the pulse repetition frequency. Transesophageal echocardiogram is useful in the evaluation of AST to assess the finer details while deciding on device closure. It is also useful in delineating ASTs which are not visible by transthoracic echocardiography, either due to poor echo window or due to odd location of the AST, as in sinus venosus AST. TEE is often used in this context while evaluating pulmonary hypertension of obscure etiology in adult. TEE probe being very near the heart without any intervening lung tissue can give excellent images. Moreover, the short distance permits the use of higher frequency transducers with better image resolution. Usually, higher frequency transducers cannot be used for transthoracic echo because of poor depth of ultrasound penetration at higher frequencies in an adult. AST seen on transesophageal echo. TEE image in short axis view showing the aorta, part of the intraatrial septum and the AST. It can be seen that there is hardly any aortic rim, that is a bald aortic rim. Part of the left atrium is seen above the IAS. Below the IAS, the large right atrium is visible. Dual ASTs with a small intervening segment of atrial septum seen on TEE. The right atrium appears dilated. Total size of both ASTs taken together is quite large and not suitable for device closure. This image displays the measurements of both ASTs. One measures 17.5 mm and another measures 15.6 mm. The total will be 33.1 mm. The rims at both ends also appear deficient, so that the device closure may not be a feasible option in this case. Surgical closure will be ideal provided that there are no features of irreversible pulmonary hypertension. Fluoroscopic image showing device closure of AST. Two discs of the device with a small waist in between are seen. One disc is in the left atrium and another in the right atrium. The delivery cable and venous sheath are seen below. Once the position of the device is confirmed by TEE, the device is released in situ. Here are a couple of relevant references. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future updates and click on the bell icon for all updates. Thank you.